So the last record I finished with describing why I was actually heading towards Halkhoria on the 28th of December 2011. I took a bus and I was a little late because I took shower and I decided not to eat anything because I seriously thought that Guruji wanted me to initiate into some deep meditations, and obviously we all thought at that time in 2011 that he's in India. It means non-eating was true, and so many of us devotees actually wanted to follow his steps in this, but not many of us can manage this, and I dreamed about that as well, because it's a certain freedom, but I was not able to do it alone. So I was dreaming about being initiated into this power of free meditation, that we are not attached to bodily desires anymore, and hunger, thirst, tiredness, like this. I know I was not alone who was dreaming about this, that he would teach us once these techniques. He actually used to speak about these plans even with Khenpo Sonam Gyurme in 2011. So many of the devotees really seriously believe that at one point he would start to teach us to be free. So that the day I was prepared, pure, and I was very, how to say, I was ready. It was ripen, all these invitations during the year 2011, and I thought that this is my last attempt. If I don't manage today, then it has no sense. I never obey these invitations. I know about them, and I came to Nepal that time because of him and with all these plans to follow him. So obviously I didn't come to follow what Khenpo Sonam Gyurme told me, or my Simra friends, or what Vaiba told me, or Tom Dorje. I was not interested in following these people, his Sangha, or committees in Kathmandu with big bellies. I didn't come for them. I came because of this Guruji. So what he was expressing as his wish, that was for me still the most important. But I cannot deny that I was very fearful because it was not clearly told. I always dreamt about him telling in front of his Sangha what he really told secretly about me, that he wanted me there. And I didn't understand why he is not able to speak openly and honestly in front of his followers, which he is actually keeping near himself. So there was always some strange paradox in his behavior. But he has this strong magnetic power. Each of you know it, who are his devotees, that you just, after a certain point, you just stop to question things with logic, with rational thinking, and you just want to follow. You just want to throw yourself to this path without assessing is it good, is it beneficial, is it pure, is it divine. You just feel this pull, and this pull is very strong. I was, I myself was never in a cult, and I was 15 years or more a strong critic of cults, and I even wrote a lot of articles about cults. So, actually, in this case, I myself fell into a typical cult. I still think that this was much more powerful than any other false gurus would be. At least it had a very powerful effect on me, and other gurus I just laughed. Other gurus I never took seriously. And so on that day I took a bus and I arrived near Pilua, but already afraid that anyone whom I knew before would recognize me if I get off the bus there. I got off even before the other entrance to Pilua village, which is actually the entrance to the Patrakali army camp. Even before that, I wanted to get off because I knew all these people, even the army camp people, and there was a bus station. And so the bus driver let me out. And now there is a big building there, but that time there was nothing. So I just sneaked inside the jungle. It was very foggy day. I had the best conditions to sneak inside without being seen and fulfill finally his wish, his invitation. And so, as always was my habit, I took down my shoes and I was going barefoot because for me that was always a holy forest. So the place of my many meditations, and I love the jungle. I love Nepali jungles and the birds, animals and plants. So for me every jungle is a holy forest actually, but that was my first experience with the Nepali jungle, so obviously it was my home. And I was walking in this freezing morning grass in the fog, and when I got near the gate of the compound after some time, maybe I could have walked 1.5 hours, then I started to have bad intuition. And I was fighting with this bad intuition because I thought I cannot turn back now. Or when I was always not obeying his invitations all this year long, only I did half. Like I arrived always just nearby the fence from outside, or not even there. Many times I just came to Passa area and meditated in Passa. So this time, in December 2011, I already wanted to fulfill, and I thought obstacles are here to cross them and not to be frightened away by them. So even these bad intuitions, bad feelings, and a certain feeling of dirtiness, which is very strange. First time I started to feel this. This is a subjective thing which I cannot prove. It's just you can believe or not believe. But some meditating people did have similar experiences that time. I did have this kind of filthiness feeling when I arrived nearby the compound. But my logic was telling me, how can you have filthiness feeling nearby such a divine guru? It doesn't make sense. So obviously we tend to put it on ourselves because the logic is saying that if you have any bad intuition, it's not from that holy guru, he is pure. So it was accelerated, this bad feeling, even by crossing by mistake in this urgency to meet the time of the meeting at 8 o'clock. I crossed a stone with 2 red strings forming a cross on it. That stone was there many times before. Before I always saw it from far, and I thought this must have been some Tibetan Buddhist or some shamanic tool and magical tool to guard him. Now I am asking with my rational mind, why should an enlightened Buddha need shamanic tools and magic to protect him? But that time I was in a state that I accepted everything, and everything he did I trusted that everything had a very deep meaning and justification. This is what his Sangha is still doing nowadays, so I cannot really condemn them because I was in the same state. So I was so in a hurry to finally meet his invitation that by mistake I crossed this stone. But I still trusted, okay, so if he's a Buddha, he's a holy being, divine being, why should he want to harm anyone by such a magical tool? I have no, how to say, I don't have knowledge or experience with such magical tools, so I just think that 2 red strings forming a cross on a stone which was purposefully put always near the gate, near the fence of his compound, must have something violent in them, in this sign, because it's red strings. Red is showing blood, and it's a cross. A cross is traditionally considered an obstacle, a sign of obstacles in mystics. But that time I was confident that he's so good and compassionate, and we were hearing all the times how he's suffering for all humankind, blah blah. I was also believing this. So I crossed confidently and went farther, but still on the outskirts. I never would cross that fence towards his tree. And so I sat down in meditation, and I was thinking, if he thought seriously that we have to meet, he must feel my meditation, and he will arrive to meet me. I was not daring to do anything more, any more initiative to meet him. Suddenly I was even scared and shy, so ashamed, and I thought best would be to return. And in this meditation I was suddenly I felt very sleepy, and because I didn't sleep enough obviously, but it was even unusual sleepiness and kind of dulness, which is not special for me. That time my mind was really very fresh in meditations, especially in the morning jhanga. So I don't know what happened, but I was like in a lullaby of half dreamy state, and then suddenly I felt the fragrance of a perfume, and that perfume was not natural, it was not a flower. Anyway, there are no flowers in December in the jungle. So this was strange, and an idea crossed my mind that he must be nearby. But I was scared to stand up and do anything, so I just continued my meditation. But what made me stand up suddenly and abruptly was a noise which was coming from the left side from me. So I was facing west, kind of, and west, and the fence of his compound was on my right hand side, and the noise came from the left. And obviously we heard a lot of horror stories from the campus Mamgyurme and other lamas about the wild animals there. This was used to frighten us away from coming to Bomjon's compound. So there are wild animals in the jungle, but not extremely more than in any other parts of a Nepali forest or a near village area jungle. So that time I was scared. It can be a wild elephant, a tiger, anything, a bear. So suddenly I jumped up from sitting. So my blood pressure was a little disbalanced, and like my body was not so prepared to walk after sitting maybe 1 hour. And nearby I saw a trunk fallen down, or in a 30-degree kind of position, maybe. I don't know how to describe. And so I thought I can climb up on this slippery, wet trunk early in the morning and just to look around if there is some animal coming to me nearby, or man. There can be also people with animals, or his devotees, or who knows. And so I didn't even manage to climb much. It was just 2 steps, maybe 2 feet up, 2-3 feet up on this trunk, and I lost my balance because I did it in my sandals, and I tried to hold on to some very thin branches, but they broke. And I fell down. But I don't actually remember that I fell down. I remember the last moment I was still just in the air. And when I started to think about this fall in 2013 and later years, and meet some people who actually fell down from much higher, many meters from a tree, with much less harm than I had. It could have been an artificial accident. I mean, someone might have attacked me from back, because I did hear this sound from of the leaves. So it's very strange that I broke my right hand from this fall from very low, very low, 2-3 steps up. I mean steps 2-3 feet up, not even steps, on this fallen trunk. And not just that, but even my right hip bone was displaced. And it was not such a height that this would happen. So I also found myself on, if I remember, I was on my belly when I woke up from an apparent concussion. And even if when I arrived to the jungle it was morning, when I woke up the sun was already on its way down. So I must have been very long in this concussion. And I woke up and my hand was broken, right hand, and I couldn't stand up because my right hip bone was out. And I felt like my life is finished because I'm in the jungle alone and night is coming, and in this condition, in this situation, any wild animal can just attack me and eat me. I cannot even escape, I cannot even call for help because I was quite far from the compound of Ram Bomjon. And in a way I was also scared because I had been already attacked once by them in October. So I knew there were people in his compound which are aggressive and which think that I am a witch and such. They could harm me, so I was scared. And then when I was waking up from this concussion, I heard this voice. I don't know from where, because it was a slow waking up. Was it a real voice or was it from this concussion state? But this voice very clearly told me that from now on your life is going to be changed. It sounded very dramatic. I cannot repeat it in such a dramatic way. Then my first idea was I must make a fixing bandage on this hand. But I looked around and there was no straight wood piece to make it. And I couldn't walk, so I was just climbing on how with the rest of my working limbs, like the left hand and the left foot, and like an animal on the ground. And I had this idea that still the safest would be if I search for some people. And where can I find people? Just nearby his compound. So even if there are these attackers, I wanted to hope that if someone sees me in this condition, that someone else, maybe they would help me. And obviously I was still believing that the Guruji himself would, if we considered him telepathically, we considered him knowing everything. So I trusted that in his great compassion he would come and help me somehow. So I went to near the fence and I did find very nice wood for making fixing bandage, but I tried with my left hand and I couldn't do it because my right hand was totally out, not working. I couldn't fix the woods at the same time and put my shawl on around it, so I needed one human hand to help me. And so I think I even started to weep. I was desperate and I told, oh my God, I actually do need people. I need people in this moment. I'm not independent. I do need their help for such a simple thing like to make a fixing bandage. So please God, send me a hand, send me a human hand which would help me. And somehow, not immediately, but like 10 minutes later, Shivaraj Meme arrived, one Nepali local Lama who used to go around his fence to make patrol. And this Meme was not even surprised that he found me there. At that time I didn't think about his strange behavior, but he seemed to take it as a natural thing that I was there. So he helped me to make the bandage, and he told me he's going to call someone from the inside, from the compound, to take me to the highway and take me to medical care. He called Darshan. Darshan lived there that time, and Darshan still behaved to me nicely those times. He was still my friend. During the October attack, it was Balahari Rai and Tom Dorje who attacked me, and Shangbodo Dong was helping them a little. But Darshan was that time not there, he was outside. So Darshan himself condemned his own friend Balahari Rai for attacking me. But as soon as Darshan got inside Halkhoria and Ram Bomjon told him to stay with him, he was transformed into something I didn't recognize. But this story comes later. That time when he came out with Shivaraj, he first came out to check my condition, and then he went inside and told me to wait, that he's bringing me a motorbike and that he brings me to the main road. And I trusted him because he was still a friend of mine, just like many other people, not very near friend, but we had a good relationship, like I had with Vaiba, with Ivy, with many people that time. But nowadays Bomjon is spreading that we had a relationship sexual. Not at all, never ever. We even never touched each other. He had a wife and they had... I left a boyfriend in Prague, and I came to Nepal to live in celibacy, and because this was the reason, Bomjon gave me the inspiration to live in celibacy. So all these friends, I was only like brothers and sisters. And so Darshan was one of my spiritual brothers, devotee brothers. We never had any relationship. If anyone is claiming this is a lie. So he came out on the motorbike, and to my surprise he brought tea for me. Not that I was very thirsty, but I thought what a nice behavior, very kind, why not to drink that tea? So I did drink a little hot tea from his thermos, and then we went on his motorbike to Passa Bridge, and he left me there. So if I was really, how to say, if I was clever, I could have gone back, I thought, but there was no way for me to go back by bus because my hand was broken, and the buses that evening were totally packed full. If someone knows the Nepali buses, when they are full, it means full that people are hanging from the doors and the roof. And so even for a person who is not injured, it's a big task to get on such a bus. But my hand was broken. If someone touched it just a little, it would cause me terrible pain, and it could injure the hand even more. It was hanging on a little piece of bone, only it was lifelessly hanging. It was unimaginable. I tried a few buses, but they didn't really behave to me like, how to say, with help. The people on that bus, on those buses were not helpful. And finally I had this idea that I called Lama Tcheku in Simra and asked him to come and pick me up on his motorbike. He was angry with me, obviously, because I left Simra without saying goodbye to him, and but his worries and care was stronger, and so he arrived in half an hour. But he has diabetes, and he just had to have lunch, but he couldn't manage to have lunch. He arrived to help me, but he was already feeling unwell, so we had to take a food. So this all prolonged our stay in the Pasa Bridge tea houses. We sat down to have a tea, and he had some food, and so it became dark. And then Darshan suddenly arrived on a motorbike together with Buddha Lama, and they told us Guruji is inviting Marīci back to Halkhoria, and Darshan told it in English to me. Before they were kind of arguing something with Lama Tcheku about me, but Lama Tcheku probably was telling them that there is no way that I am going back in this dark and with a broken hand. That time my Nepali was not so good, and I understood just parts, and so he told me in English, Guruji is asking you to come because he wants to speak to you. If there is any possibility, then please come. Like it was told to me in a very kind and friendly way, and of course I was waiting all year long that I could speak to him. He never, how to say, when I had the chance to be near to him, he never spoke to me. I was waiting for this occasion so many times. There was one time he spoke to me, but the translator didn't translate it to me, so I didn't understand the word. He speaks very quickly, and his Nepali is very strange, and many translators also don't understand him. But this time I thought, okay, Darshan is there, and he has a near perfect spoken English. He could translate to me. I considered him my friend. So with this broken hand, I was telling Lama Tcheku, I must go. I came to Nepal because of this guru. I came to Nepal to support him and to serve him, and he is most important for me, not my body, not my hand. I was telling Lama Tcheku that I am a yogi, I am a meditator, and for me it's more important if a guru wants to speak with me. Lama Tcheku is a Lama, and so I told him, you have to understand, you are a Lama, you are also not a materialist person. I convinced him finally, but I told him, please come with me, because I knew there was Balahari in Dorje. I think Balahari was not there at the time, no. Dorje was there, Tom Dorje, and that Tom Dorje already once attacked me, so I was scared. But I wanted to fulfill Bomjon's wish. So I convinced Lama Tcheku to my own harm. I don't know why. Darshan told me I should sit on his motorbike, and Lama Tcheku and Buddha Lama went separately. But what happened? The motorbike of those two broke down in the jungle, in the middle of the jungle, in the dark. And so we arrived on the motorbike, just Darshan and me. And then they sent, it broke down because suddenly he had no petrol. And they sent petrol to the jungle, and finally they arrived on motorbike. I think it was like that. And that night, Bomjon told Vaiba also to arrive, and it was very strange. Again, there were no signs that he wanted to speak to me. In that situation I was, they let me to sit in the house, in the rooms, but there was no communication with me. He was speaking to Vaiba about me. People were speaking to Lama Tcheku about me, but no one was speaking to me. No one told me anything was going to happen. And already that time I started to have a bad feeling that this could be again a similar situation like it was in October. Just that now they didn't tie me, because there was no need to tie me. I couldn't work away without help. I was not able to work, and my hand was broken. And so the thing was, they told them to go to sleep. It was night. Vaiba and Tcheku Meme were sleeping on a bed, and I decided to sleep on the floor. I didn't even sleep. I was just half meditating in a crouched position. I never used beds. I was a yogi. Even if they probably offered me a bed, I didn't take it. The next morning, Bomjon arrived, and he made a meeting. And many other people arrived, important VIPs of the Sangha from surrounding villages. So it started to look again the same court type of thing like it was in October. And I already sensed that it's not going to be a positive stay. But I don't know how to explain this, and that situation and that stage. I was there alone, and my only friend, the only person who was on my side was Lama Tcheku. But in this company of all simply told evil people, he himself in the middle of the jungle was not sure, was afraid. He was not, not protecting me heroically. He could not. He could have been harmed as well, so he was trying to be diplomatic, and he was trying to explain them, let us go, but it was still not a violent moment when all these committee members came, but it was impossible for me to at that stage to request that Bomjon lets me go. It was too late. I was already inside, and I decided to obey him. That was the moment of my great mistake, and I wish everyone could remember this sentence, because the free will is the key through which he is able to harm us. So at that stage it was too late, and I was aware already. I was surrounded with all these Sangha negative people who apparently had very negative thinking about me, and Bomjon might have been incited them with a lot of false things about which I learned just many years later. And so this Lama Tcheku, I understood his position. He could not afford to just tell them, I put Marīci on my motorbike and I go. And he was there, but it was too late. And there was this kind of, I was there in the meeting like an object, but no one spoke to me, no one asked me. No one asked me what I want, and they were speaking in Nepali about me. And my Nepali was not so good, but I understood it's about me. But what and why, the details I could not pick up. And so I needed a translator. On every court, it's a human right. In a normal materialistic court, the accused has the right to understand what is the accusation about, but I didn't understand. And they were just speaking about me maybe for 1 hour or so, Bomjon and the committee members, and I only understood Vaiba because he speaks Nepali, which I lived in Vaiba's house, so I could recognize what he was saying. But to my shock, I stayed 5 months in Vaiba's house. He used to be my supporter, my patron, and to my shock, Vaiba was speaking negatively about me in front of Bomjon. It was like a collecting of every complaint and criticism which anyone had against me, and it seemed like that. Lama Tcheku was defending me, and oh yes, now I remember, Bomjon told him, why are you putting her in your gumpa? She doesn't deserve gumpa. She's a disturber, she's a spy, she's a witch. Why you keep her in a gumpa? And Lama Tcheku told, I put only dharmic people in my gumpa. She's a meditator, she's a dharmic person. That's why she's in my gumpa. And he told this in a very heroic way, but it didn't have any effect. Just imagine you are surrounded in the middle of the jungle with savages who had already that time a reputation of attacking a few people violently and kidnapping already the Spanish woman, attacking an foreigner boy. So obviously Lama Tcheku was careful what he's doing, what he's saying, but he told that I am keeping Marīci in my gumpa because she's a dharmic person. Yes, that was true. In his gumpa I was spending most of my meditations from morning till night, from night till morning. But which kind of meditations? I was permanently praying for Bomjon, praying for his success, for his protection, for his health. I was praying even if I saw a beautiful flower in the garden, I was offering it to him. In that gumpa there were 3 beautiful statues, one of Padmasambhava, one of Gautam Buddha, and one of Avalokiteshvara. And Avalokiteshvara was the most beautiful, and I always saw Guruji in that statue, so I always sat in front of Avalokiteshvara and prayed to Avalokiteshvara for him. This is just extreme, because all my time in 2011 was focused and directed to his benefit. My mind, my words, my actions were just for his benefit. Yes, I was critical of his Sangha and of his committees, but I was critical only when they did things against Dharma, against the Dharma which Bomjon himself was teaching. So when I saw stealing of a memory card of a foreigner, this was against Panchashila. Of course, I was critical of that. Or when I saw any other injustice or harm done to people, I was critical of that. But I was never critical of Guruji that time. So the court ended with Tcheku being sent home, and it was kind of clear to us both that no way that Bomjon would let me go. If I could make some scene, some shouting or something, but that would make things worse. Because I already had the experience in October. So it was at all a good thing that they let Lama Tcheku, the old man with diabetes, go home, who had a child, or 2 children now, I don't know, in Simra. So already this was important, that at least he could go out without any violent incident. But obviously, as soon as he left the compound, they came and tied me by the plastic ropes, and still during that meeting, when Vaipa was complaining about me, then Bomjon suddenly announced in front of everyone who was there, now Marīci can finally stay in Halkhoria. But he was very ironical, smiling ironically. She always wanted to stay in Halkhoria, so now finally she can. Her dream is fulfilled, and she will stay in Halkhoria forever. But she will stay in Halkhoria on chains, inside the jungle, forever, until the end of her life. And they were laughing. For them, especially for Vaipa, that was a perfect joke from Guruji. Yes, a black joke, a black humor. I didn't recognize him, but I already described the attack and beating by him in October, and already that time he had a certain irony and cynical sentences. But as I wanted to believe so much that he is a pure divine guru, I dismissed these signs and I defended him in front of those who told that it was not right to beat a devotee, a female devotee. But this time it was very frightening and hurting even that he was ironical, because I came there trusting that he wanted to speak with me, and I imagined he had something spiritual to tell me, some teaching, some initiation, to tell me some secrets. Why is this strong connection of me towards Halkhoria jungle or anything spiritual, but not speaking like a mafia leader. That was hurting. And not just hurting, but I realized that I got, by my mistake of trusting, naive trusting of him, I got to hell again. I left hell, Halkhoria hell, in October, And he tricked me back by this false message that he wanted to speak to me. He didn't say a word to me and didn't ask anything from me. It was very obvious he had no interest to speak to me. He spoke about me only. And so he told Vaiba, you go and buy chain for Marīci in the city and bring chain. And we will chain her to a tree in the jungle. And the animals will tear her apart like this. And everyone was laughing. That was the same story in October. But that time he was telling this joke only in front of Balahari, Tom Dorje and Kempudava. So the audience was less. Now it was a kind of 20 people or so. But not all the residents of Halkhoria were at this meeting. The women was very few there. I think only Usha Didi was hearing this court. It was inside one of the office houses. So the next step was he told the Dorje to tie me with actually I remember that the tying with the plastic rope was a few days later. First they just locked me inside one of the rooms, so I could move for maybe one day. I could move freely in that room, but that room had grid on the window. Of course I checked any way to escape, but I escaped from that room in October, but that time my body was fit. This time in December I had a broken hand and that broke displaced hip bone. I would not able to climb, and I would not able to run in the jungle if I had to. And in a way I was aware of the dramatic stage I was in, and I was thinking at one point I must face this Bomjon thing. At one point I must know what he wants from me and to solve once and forever who is he and what he wanted. Why am I so attracted to this jungle, and why do I feel his power as so powerful? I wanted to solve it also, and I wanted to be brave, still trusting in Buddha and divinity. So those few days in the beginning, when I was only locked up and not brought to the jungle yet, maybe I suppose 3 days or so, maybe 4 days, I don't know exactly now. Those beginning days, there was a nun who was allowed to come. Actually it was so strange. They were all preparing for some puja, some big, there was always some movement, and all these ladies, Tamang village ladies, they saw me in that condition that I'm a prisoner. They were allowed to come to that place, and they were joking with Dorje, and they were enjoying their life and cooking. And I came to my room, and they behaved to me like I was how to say, like I was not a human being. They didn't offer me much help. sometimes I needed to help, because I had no functioning right hand, obviously, to help me to put on some shawl or to do something with my clothes. Or they gave me some blanket, but I couldn't cover myself because I had just this one hand. I couldn't. I needed some help. So these ladies, they were working around, they were in that room, coming and going, and they always locked this room from outside, as if I was just a dog or a cow. They just locked it without any questioning if it's right that a woman is locked up in that room and that they can come and go freely. For them it didn't look like something strange. I don't know if these people have conscience. But yes, I myself was in a state that I wanted to be strong, and I didn't complain, I didn't cry, didn't weep, I didn't shout. Also because of fear, because I was scared that if I do any such theater, who is there on my side? No one was there on my side. No one would feel pity. They would just beat me like in October. So I was rather low profile, I would say. I would just let them behave as they behaved. During this time, Bomjon ordered Buddha and Darshan to go to Simra, to the Gompa, and bring all my things from there. That time Lama Tcheku was not there, and only his mother had the key, and she didn't understand that two lamas are coming. One lama, Buddha Lama, and Darshan, who people knew that Darshan was kind of my friend, devotee friend, and everyone thought that, okay, Bomjon's devotees should be trustful people. So she opened the Gompa for them, and they told her, from now on Marīci is going to live in Halkhoria, and she is asking us to bring her possessions to her on motorbike. Obviously she gave everything I had there because she trusted these people. Who would not trust a lama in a robe like Buddha? So they brought all my stuff, but they didn't give me my stuff to my disposal, not even my clothes. They took everything away from me. I did have my big bag for maybe 1 or 2 days. It was near in the room, but I had no right to use the things inside. When they put it in my room, that time I was already tied to the iron pillar with the ropes. And these office houses were a few rooms which were connected just with a wall, but there was a gap above the wall, so we always heard what the others in the other room were speaking about. And I heard that they brought my laptop in the next room. The next room was the painting room of the holy pictures of Bomjon, of the Maitreya picture and the 7 deities, so-called 7 deities. And so in this environment of painting the gods, they stole my laptop and were browsing my laptop because they forced me to give them the password. Forced me. I was threatened. I was afraid. I knew that I had no chance to refuse anything in that condition, that situation. Knowing those violent people who were already torturing me in October 2011 and beating. So I heard how they are enjoying my laptop. In the next room, the Kaiba, Buddha Lama, and sometimes Dorje was coming, going, and watching my laptop as well. And this was going on. Just imagine, they are painting divine beings. They claim the 7 deities in the next room, the Kaiba, and some other people helping them. And they are stealing a laptop in this environment and enjoying a stolen laptop of a devotee who is tortured and died in the next room. A kind of absurd situation where Panchashila and all Dharma is ridiculed and desecrated. But to those people it didn't look like that. For them, the shocking thing is that for them it was normal and dharmic to tie a woman or to lock her up in the first days and then tie her to an iron pillar, not to give her treatment for her broken hand, and torture her in a way which I am afraid to describe in details still, and enjoy her stolen property in the room where they are painting the 7 deities. So what kind of energy can be radiated from these 7 deities? Just ask yourself. The energy of a Kaiba who is dealing with a stolen laptop. I have never ever seen my stolen laptop from that moment. In that laptop there had been... Why did I take that laptop at all? I wanted to serve Bomjon. I was translating his Mahapranidhana. I was using this laptop as I was Google Group Manager. I was writing reports about him, articles praising him. I did a lot of work. He was writing, justifying his behavior, defending him, writing he's a Buddha, writing he's a divine guru, using my yogic experience and knowledge to praise him and to make his position better. And also my laptop was full of his videos and photos and all the available texts about him. It was like a storehouse of everything about Bomjon. I didn't... He claimed that my laptop was used for spying, because he doesn't understand even how technical things work. He sees a laptop and he thinks it's a spying machine. Without proof. They didn't need any proof. The only proof for the Sangha was his word. He's a divine being. Anything he told. If he said to them that I came from the Mars, they would believe it. If he said to them that my laptop is an airplane, they would believe it. So it's an absurd. You bump into that word, you fall into that word in the Sangha of Halkhoria, and you feel you are. It's like a fairy tale. It's absurd. It's, how to say, unbelievable. But you are already there, because he lured you, seduced you through your willpower and through your naive devotion. It's too late to decide to go. And the absurd thing was that this Halkhoria compound was very active, very alive those times. They were building his kajokpa. Workers were coming. Workers came, looked inside my window, Okay, a woman is tied on the rope to an iron pillar. That's just a normal sight for them. And they just went on their job to build his katukpa. And many women came, and from surrounding villages there were even pujas held. And they just came, look like in zoo, into my window, and look. And it didn't occur to them that they could help me or ask Bomjon to release me. This is the absurd. You could not believe this. The biggest shock were the people, the brainwashed people, but even outsiders who came there. Not even one person wanted to release me or asked me, do you need something? There was one girl. She was very kind to me. She sneaked inside a few times, and she helped me. I had some female problems which I could not manage with my broken hand. I needed to change clothes, I needed some intense things. She was very helpful, no other people. And she even told me things that these people are very evil, but I know Guruji is holy. I know he doesn't want this. And I heard a lot about you, Marīci, and you have very good reputation. You are a very nice person, you are a great devotee, she told me. And these people are so evil, I don't know why they are harming you. I don't understand this. She was confused. And she told me, Guruji doesn't want this. No, Guruji is good. I don't know why these people harm you. But she was too often there with me. And Dorje realized that she's too kind to me. And that was the end. Then she was not allowed to come there anymore. Probably they had to brainwash her and tell her bad things about me, or forbid her to come. She was my last hope, because I hoped that she would defend that anything bad could be done to me, but she didn't come anymore. So no one helped me then. And then Tcheku Lama arrived a few days later. He was allowed, and probably he came to discuss with Bomjon my release, I don't know. And he came to my window and told me something like, don't worry, I will take you out from here, don't worry. Are you okay? Are they torturing you? Did they beat you? And I was still devoted to Bomjon. I didn't want to harm his reputation, so I didn't tell Tcheku Lama what they did to me. I just told him, don't worry, I will be okay. And I told him in Nepali, because with him I used to speak Nepali. He doesn't speak English. Sabai राम्रो हुन्छ, sabai राम्रो हुन्छ, Lama tapai जानुस्. You go, everything will be okay with me. But of course I didn't myself believe it's true what I was saying. But I knew there was no way out. They would not allow Tcheku Lama to bring me out. So then he left, and I never see him again. And so only later, I think this year or last year, I learned. No, in 2012, after my release, I learned that when Tcheku Lama went out, he alarmed police and media to release me. And in fact, 200 head police force came to search for me. But that was still in the phase when I was locked up in the house in the beginning, and it was very tricky from Bomjon, because probably Tcheku Lama heard this committee meeting that I'm going to be chained in the jungle, and so he thought that it already happened. So he sent this police to search for me in the jungle. But at that point, I think it was that time they could not find me, and I think it was because that time I was still locked up in the office houses, and there was no one coming to the office houses to search for me. One must understand that the police force was coming from the Bhadrakali army camp, which was in Pilua, and Vaiba's own son, Uttar, was a member of that army camp. He's a policeman. So all these policemen, we saw them many times queuing up for blessing to Bomjon. They were his devotees. They didn't want to do anything too dramatic and too violent and too push him or force him to give me out. They were behaving very carefully and respectfully towards him. So they didn't overdo this search. And they probably just came to satisfy Tcheku Lama's worries, and left after getting blessing, as always. And the next such search was done by media. Media tried to get there a few times, but they were not allowed. And then there was one occasion, one puja, and when they came and tried to get news about me, but that time Dorje, Tom, Darshan and Balahari attacked the media people, and it is also filmed on YouTube and broke their cameras, and obviously I was not freed again. In Nepal these things can happen. There is no law applied when it concerns cults like this one. There is total impunity, and they are allowed to do harm to anyone. Torture and violence.